everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Turtle Torture Time. I'm Captain Logan, and with me today is everybody's favorite sadist and masochist, Dan Torrey.
Hey, everybody.
So, if you're wondering what in the world are we doing, and are we insane crazy people, the answer is this was Dan's idea, and yes, we are. This is a thing Dan asked me to do almost a year ago now. I mean, a good long time. Dan was like, "Hey, we should." They put Next Mutation on Netflix. We should watch all of it and do commentaries. And I was like, "Well, Dan, I might be down for the pilot." Until I found out it was 5 episodes long. But really, you want to do all of it? He was like, "Oh yeah, if we're doing this, we're doing it right. We're doing it up." And I was like, "Okay." And then we recorded the first 2 or 3 episodes, and we had technical difficulties and we weren't able to post it. We had to scrap it, and because the audio didn't come out. We had Eric there, and we regrettably don't have Eric tonight. Maybe he'll show up, Dan, somehow. Maybe down the road we might get him for an episode or two.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he was conveniently at work tonight.
Yeah, and remember...
He may be hiding in his room. We're not really sure.
And remember, he did not want to do this.
No, he didn't at all.
Which is really funny, because he's a tokusatsu guy, and this is Saban, and this is the Power Rangers people.
Yeah, I mean, I figured this would be up his alley in a sort of ironic way. Like, you know, you watch... In the same way that I thought it was a good idea to do commentaries on this, just to, like, point and laugh at how bad it is.
Yeah.
It's not.
So, Dan and I don't know this show. We both seen the pilot, and we watched some of this again relatively recently, a few months ago, so some of it will start to come back to us, I'm sure, but we haven't watched the whole show, and this is going to be basically, for all intents and purposes, blind commentaries. So we are not prepared in any way. We're going to be experiencing this at the same time as you folks are while we're watching it, so this is going to be another one of those, you're just watching a show with us and we're going to chat about it as we're talking about it, as opposed to a more formal and polished kind of commentary, if we have ever made such a thing.
Yes, that's true. I've seen this pilot before. Like, as a kid, I rented the VHS tape that they released as a movie for this, but other than that, I'm relatively new to this series. I tried to watch through it originally when it came out on Netflix, and I just got bored after a while and stopped watching it, so...
Oh, good. So that makes it such a good choice to do all of, Dan.
Exactly. See, if I have someone with me to get through it with.
At some point, if it gets really redundant and dull, as Dan is describing, we might find ourselves at some point just choosing other topics of conversation as we're like Scotch tape or Doritos.
Yeah, or I don't know what novel you've been reading recently that's much more interesting than the plot of this episode.
Yeah. So anyway, if you'd like to watch the show with us, and I suggest that you do, regardless of how potentially impossible to look at some of this might be, you're probably not going to know what in the world we're talking about and what we're reacting to. And we can't promise to make this a thing that is easy to listen to without watching it. So I would suggest watching it with us. If you want to do that, grab your Netflix, get it queued up to the first episode, which is called East Meets West Part 1. And as I said, this is 5 episodes long. As you can tell if you're looking at the timestamp, we are separating these out. We'll put it in a playlist for you so that you can watch them all together if you want to once we get them all together. But we're going to just post these as singular 24, 22, whatever minute episodes videos. Wow.
Yeah, I think they're around 20 minutes long.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's nice. That helps. That's that's merciful, Dan.
Yeah, they had to get their toy commercials in there for this one. 10 minutes of commercial time in a 30-minute show.
Yeah, but it also is a toy commercial, which of course, sort of like the recent Power Rangers movie, and in my opinion, the recent Ninja Turtles movies, the toys weren't good.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd ever want to buy toys of the recent movies. They're just ugly.
Yeah. Not like these.
Well, these are a little bit less ugly. Like, they look a little bit more like the classic movie designs, but their bandanas, some of them just look dumb.
They basically look like the like the stage show, but turned into a Saban show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The coming out of their shells tour. That's basically. I mean, they're a little bit better than the coming out of their shells tour costumes, but it's kind of like that.
Quite a bit better than that, but they're not great.
Okay, it's somewhere between that and Ninja Turtles 3. I don't think you could say these even are as good as the Ninja Turtles 3 costumes, and of course, they didn't have that kind of animatronics.
I mean, I think they look a little bit less like spotted frogs in this, which is a plus, but...
That's true, if that's our standard. Anyway, if you'd like to watch it with us, get out your Netflix, or if you have them, the DVDs. They did release those recently, so
what? Really?
If you own this show, yeah, because they put out pretty much everything Nickelodeon could and everything they had with that last Ninja Turtles movie. Like, pretty much not everything, but a lot of stuff is available that hadn't been recently. I mean, they still haven't put all of 03 on one set yet, which is unfortunate.
Which is a crime.
Needs to happen.
The show's so good.
Yeah. But anyway, okay. Everybody get ready to press play when I say now. Dan, clearly we've been stalling. Dan, are you ready for some Venus?
Oh, I'm so ready.
All right, here we go. Everybody, please press play right now.
Somewhere in Epcot.
They don't know where in China. It's just... Is it supposed to be a secret, or did they just decide not to do any research?
I think it's supposed to be, like, mysterious.
Oh, okay. It's like, it's in China, I don't know. We're making a show about New York.
I always thought the choice to go to China was a little strange because they're supposed to be ninjas and that's a Japanese culture thing, but...
Uh-huh. No, it's really weird. I have no idea why, and it looks like an accident. Right away, it feels like, yeah, ninjas, Chinese, right?
Yeah, and it's not like the sets of this, like, temple are culturally authentic, so, to China anyway, so they probably could have passed it off as Japanese anyway.
I think
for the standards of what they're going with.
I think you're absolutely right. The glass has been on, so yeah, no kidding. I've never had a mirror that does that. I'm pretty sure if you jump into that mirror right now, you wind up in Bomb Battlefield.
Dun, 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 dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun. No, really.
Hey, it's Bowser.
Okay, Bowser.
The most ancient evil.
No, you're right. This is just the most vaguely like Oriental thing, right? Like Asian thing.
And then we get the yin and yang thing, which is, I guess, associated with karate somewhat, but it's mostly Taoist religion is what that's associated with.
I thought it was just associated with the 90s and Pogs.
That's probably what they were going for.
So I thought it was surreal when this show first came out, Dan, because everyone was comparing Power Rangers to Ninja Turtles, and of course it's got that kind of subheading thing like Turtles does, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it's appealing to a lot of the same kind of audiences. And then Saban ends up making Ninja Turtles. It was a really surreal thing.
Yeah, has Saban ever made a show that rises above the quality of stuff like this? Like, I know people like some of the Power Ranger seasons more than others, but, like, have they ever made, like, a quality thing?
Well, it depends on your definition, I guess. I mean, usually.
Okay, so that answers the question right away.
Yeah, sure. I I don't know that that's fair the way you're saying. I mean, the thing is, it is to be fair, it is very ambitious on a kids show budget to make a live action series that's supposed to be action driven.
Sure.
In general,
yeah, that's
so
true.
if you want to say none of Power Rangers is quality, then no, Dan, they've never made a quality show. But the other thing too is, they're having to try to match as close as they can footage made from a Japanese tokusatsu, and so they're what it should look like has already been kind of predetermined for them to a degree, right? There's not as much of an excuse here because they're making all their own footage. But then you could call that more of an excuse because this would be harder to do and more expensive. They don't get to build around anything that's already there. Now, having said that, we've got a lot of really uninspired costume choices. Shredder being one of the bigger ones, and even these foot soldiers.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could forgive them using that Raphael stock footage 800 times in the next couple episodes we'll see here. If, like, the plotting and, like, the dialogue and the writing was decent. I just mean, like, has Saban ever made anything that approaches, like, quality storytelling? Like, you know, that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, well, they're making things that are all kind of in the same mold.
Sure.
And I know that they're behind some shows I don't know about. I'm sure Saban has some not tokusatsu things. I just don't even remember what they are.
Oh, okay.
So Splinter is the weirdest thing in this. He just looks like his head's gonna pop off at any moment.
Yeah, I mean, they got over the the Turtles 3 but I think he looks a little bit better because he's able to move from a window in the train.
That's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But his expressions are bizarre.
Yes, very bizarre.
I was complaining about the foot soldiers. They have the mask from 1, which I respect a lot.
Yeah, I did like that.
With the bug eyes, that's pretty cool.
And apparently Splinter is feeling them through the Force. That Raphael's getting beat up there.
Yeah, well, remember, he had that in the movies to some degree as well. Remember
when they contacted him with the fire and stuff in the first movie. That's true.
And remember in Ninja Turtles 3 when he was picking up on vibes of things happening in the past, like they're happening simultaneously with now, even though they've happened already, because it's in the past? You remember that?
That's true, yeah. I like the idea that Splinter has vibe powers.
That's pretty much what it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's Cisco. Yeah.
Sending good vibes.
Splinter's like, I'm picking up on good vibration. I like that we've kind of tried to keep with something similar to the sewer set from 2, which I've always liked a lot. It's really cool. And this isn't exactly actually, didn't we have an argument about this, Dan? I'm not sure if this is that set or if they've recreated it, because it looks really similar.
It looks pretty similar to me. I'm not sure if it's the exact one or not, obviously.
The subway set.
But it's obviously, like you said, supposed to be a callback to that, and that's always been my favorite version of the Turtleware.
Yeah.
The subway car in the sewer, it's really cool.
With those big giant railings.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. And I hate Raphael's bandana in the new movie, and I hate the ones that go over the head here. I think they look stupid.
I don't know why some of them have it and some of them don't. Michelangelo's like Michelangelo's the rebel of the group. Okay.
I think they're all like differentiated by the headbands and the big large initials on their chest because of the toy designs. I think that was probably where they started with this.
I am very confident in saying this is the only Ninja Turtles iteration where anybody has called Raphael Raffy. We get Michelangelo a lot, or Mikey a lot, but Raffy?
This is also stock footage we'll see a bazillion times of the Turtles Hummer.
Turtle Tower. Yeah.
Remember when Hummers were popular?
Yeah, remember that when that was a thing?
Yeah. I'm glad they're not anymore.
Then when we experienced, Ford almost $5 gas prices, I think that's when that stopped being as popular of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course, the military still uses Hummers, but the Ninja Turtles don't anymore.
I just want them to pass a sign that says Gotham City 14 miles.
That'd be awesome.
New York City 14 miles. Yeah, these suits aren't as bad as I remember. The suits themselves look okay, actually. The shells are good. It's just the voice sync, really.
Yeah, the lip syncing is very bad.
But I don't think the lip movements are any less natural than they are in 3. Because I don't think such a thing is possible.
His mouth hanging open while he's doing these moves, and it looks like he's like drooling.
Okay, why don't these foot soldiers have a consistent look to them? Is it because one of them is the leader? Or no? Maybe there's a couple with the purple headband. I'm not sure what's going on with that, actually.
I think they're differentiated by rank, possibly.
That's what I was thinking, maybe? Okay. Okay, that could be giving it too much credit, but...
Yeah, I think we're thinking about it more than they did.
Yeah. Yeah, but if we don't, we won't have anything else to do.
I love how we just cut to them to say Major Shellage Turtles Rock, and then we cut back to Splinter.
And Ninja-tude? You know, Zordon, once they got the ninja powers, if they had changed out the Rangers, he would have been looking for 5 teenagers with Ninja-tude.
Oh, boy.
Tooling? What is the word tooling? You couldn't think of... You had to have slang to say tooling around, like... This is the most generic theme music, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. Like...
I want to see it, like, brought back in the other Turtle movies, so they ever make one, like, with the Shredder theme. I mean, this is obviously just as memorable.
It's racing game music. It's arcade racing game music. Speaking of, when they were real quick, when they were in the lair, did you notice the graphic on the computer and how it looked like they were like Donatello was using a Sega Saturn to look things up? Like,
oh no, I didn't notice that. That's funny. Did they ever make a video game out of this show?
I don't think so.
I don't think they did either.
I'll look that up and find out. I don't know what that would have been like.
But if they did, I would love to see how gloriously awful it is.
So there's Shredder.
His acting and suit is terrible.
There's Shredder with his $4.50 Shredder mask.
Yeah.
But it's still not as bad as the coming out of their shells tour Shredder, but that's not an accomplishment. Yeah,
I think they probably just got the guy in the suit to do the voice for this, who was just a generic, intimidating guy. Because his voice, the voice acting's awful.
But what's fortuitous for them, this can't have been intentional, is that their Shredder sucks, so you don't find yourself wanting to see Shredder the whole show. So when they write him out, you're not like, oh man, it's not going to be the Shredder's not the big bad. Yeah, all I needed was that scene to not want their Shredder to be the big bad of the show.
I always I think Shredder would have been awesome in this show because he could have yelled things as ridiculous as he did in, like, Turtles 2, where he's like, they're babies, and stuff like that. It would have been great.
Yeah, and we could have had like a Power Ranger monster level Super Shredder, and then the Turtles had to make like a mech robot.
That would have been awesome.
I would have loved them to have gone as far as mech robot, since this is essentially a Turtles tokusatsu.
Now this is real trippy. This is like some Doctor Strange astral projection stuff here.
Yeah. Yeah, some people were upset that Doctor Strange didn't go to even this level of craziness.
I mean, looking at this now, it kind of reminds me of Hell from the Spawn movie.
That's what I was just about to say! I was patiently waiting for you to finish your thought so I could say that. Okay, so riddle me this, Dan Torrey. Is Splinter Chinese also?
I don't know.
I don't know where these people are supposed to be from, and where they get their culture from.
Yeah.
I don't know where the Turtles and Splinter appropriated their culture from.
I mean, like, Japanese and Chinese culture are very different. Like, a lot of people that don't know anything about them, and like the Chinese and Japanese, in fact, like have had a rivalry and have been bitter enemies for a long time and throughout their history. So, like, I'm not sure that if Splinter was like a hardcore Japanese dude, he'd be like, oh, I got friends in China. Especially if it was like from the feudal period. I don't know. Like, is this guy supposed to be like from back in time or something? Like,
no,
I don't know what his profession is.
Well, I don't think so, because It seems like we often do this with ethnic cultures. We just like don't know anything and we don't want to do any research. Where we basically just make where they're from look like it would have in the 1600s.
Yeah, it's like if we cut to like medieval Europe and like there's knights and stuff like that in modern day.
I mean, to be fair, we're not really going out into the city, so it could just be it's a dojo, and he's he's all about that old world culture.
Yeah, maybe he's like a monk or something, because it looked like the little slice of the Chinese theme park they shot there did look relatively isolated from the way they shot it. So I mean, who knows?
The Chinese theme park. But yeah, I think, and we do that with a lot of things, right? Where we have a sensei or someone that just chooses to live apart from society and is
that's true.
Observing the ways of the old world. But it seems weirdly like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go as far with this to say culturally insensitive, but it's just strange that these people make so many shows where they I can't say steal because it's given to them, but it's in partnership, but where they take Japanese footage and they put American footage with it. You'd think they would know something about Japan.
Yeah.
And about the differences between the cultures in that part of the world.
Obviously, I don't think it's like a malicious thing. I think it's just like a general ignorance. I don't think they know.
But I also can't tell if there's actually a reason for it. Like, it could be really generic, but they wanted to go with Chinese over Japanese for some reason. That could have been on purpose, but just from what we've seen so far, I don't get it. I don't get why Venus needs to be from China.
Hey, I mean, like, if they introduce this character in, the Tom Waltz run of comics, for example, the Venus character.
I really want that to happen.
I would like that, too. I think it would be really interesting to contrast, like, Chinese and Japanese martial arts, Chinese and Japanese culture. Like, that would be genuinely interesting. But this isn't trying to tell a story about any of those things. It just seems rather arbitrary.
No, and again, I can't even tell if the martial arts and philosophy of the turtles is supposed to come from Japan or China. That's the problem with it right now.
Exactly.
Now, I don't know much about China. Was there some kind, Dan, some kind of a fill-in for ninjas in China? Is there something like that in that culture?
They certainly have a martial arts tradition. I don't know as much about older Chinese history. I know a lot about the Chinese history leading up to the 20th century and stuff like that, and their involvement in the first two world wars and then the communist revolution after that. I know a lot about that stuff because I took classes on it in school, but I don't know a whole lot about their martial arts tradition and their older culture. I'd like to know because that's potentially interesting. I know like Kung Fu is from China and the stereotypical like monks that you think of that you play as like an RPG, like the bald monks that are good at martial arts and like robes and stuff. I think that's a Chinese thing too, but don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure.
Dragons!
Yeah.
He's master of the internal arts, Dan. Now, maybe that's supposed to be the idea, is that you have these two different art forms, martial art forms, and one is more about the physical and one is more about the mental, and bringing in China for that maybe makes some kind of sense?
Yeah. I don't really know what...
Because they might be thinking about, like, Buddhism and stuff, but I don't know.
And Buddhism was pretty big in Japan too. Like that's a religion that was in China and spread. And yeah, like Buddhism was the official religion in Japan, endorsed by the state at a couple points in their history. So
yeah, I'm out of my comfort zone here. I don't want to talk out of both sides of my face. I don't know much about these cultures.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that'd be interesting. I don't know that they're thinking at all about those things, though.
So why should we, Dan?
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be talking about like Buddhism in this show, but
Well, I got hung up on it because I was trying to figure out what in the world the logic was that led us to that.
so I've noticed in this first episode here, they are trying to like at least ape some of the scenes from the original movies that I think a lot of people would remember, like how the foot soldier like follows them and finds their lair.
Yeah.
The people walking around in the street like eating pizza at the beginning of the movies and stuff. I mean, and here I'm looking at the set now. Now that you talked about like the whether or not it's a reproduction, it definitely looks
definitely
like
a reproduction. Yeah.
it looks a lot smaller.
Yeah, and what's unfortunate is it wouldn't be as obvious if we were lighting it right. One side of it seems lit correctly, and the other side is really generic TV lighting. Like we're doing more of that mood lighting that we had in Ninja Turtles 2 with this when you look at the staircase. But on the other side of the room, it's weird. It's like the two sides of the set aren't as stylistic. Right? Like one's more stylistic looking than the other.
Did you notice too when Michelangelo was fighting them on the staircase that the concrete mounted railing was shaking around all over the place?
Can you believe I can't remember, they're entirely interchangeable. I can't remember which turtle said it, Dan, but can you believe that when one of them picked up a vacuum cleaner and put it on one of the foot soldiers' face, he said, "Want to suck face?" I can't believe that's in this.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's amazing that passed, honestly.
This is true.
Ah, what? Oh, okay, Raphael also doesn't have that thing on his face. That's good. These voice actors are rough. They just went out and grabbed the interns, I think.
I love how stereotypical his death scene
awful.
was.
I don't know who these voice actors are, but they are. It seems like they're going out of their way to sound as like Power Ranger monster level as they can, and they're the protagonists of the show. But they have really generic voices, and they all sound the same. And it's like the Beatles and Yellow Submarine.
Yeah. So the first episode just ended. Can we like recap how many things happened in that episode? Because not a whole lot happened.
No, not really. But yes, let's recap. That'll be fun. So Splinter was talking to this Chinese monk guy. Dan thinks he's a monk with his brain. And
who lives in a Chinese-themed theme park.
Right. And he has a Mario 64 doorway that goes to the ether.
To Dragon Kingdom.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I forgot all about that. Right. There's an ethereal plane that they can both exist on. And Shredder is doing normal Shredder-y things.
Vaguely Shredder things. We don't even really know what those things are.
And the Foot Clan found their lair. And also, we talked over it, but Splinter was talking to a blind guy. He has a blind friend that doesn't know he's a rat, because you have to do that whole thing. You have to do that whole thing. What's the name of Thing's blind girlfriend? You got to do that whole thing.
I'm not sure.
Alicia Masters. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the Thing with blind girlfriends. Like that was like a colloquialism or something?
No. As soon as I said that,
I
realized you didn't know what I was talking about because I'd already said the word thing, and then I was talking about the character thing, and I'm already losing brain cells just looking at this show.
I think more time was spent driving things, like a motorcycle and the Hummer and the whatever the luge skateboard hover thing that Michelangelo was on.
Yeah, which looked as cool as you could expect it to in this. It's kind of fun to see some of those 87 cartoon things translated to live action.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
Because you didn't get as much of that in the movies because at least that first one was a little more grounded than that.
Yeah. I can't say that I missed those things in the first movie, but...
No, I don't mean something... I don't mean that, but this show But this show is goofier, obviously. It's a live-action cartoon, so it's fine to have those things. The production values are honestly not any worse than Power Rangers, but still certainly laughable and easy to. And part of the problem, of course, is we have better production value things with Ninja Turtles to compare it to, and so it's really difficult not to immediately think of it as lesser and a weird cash-in thing.
Yeah, and I guess there are like a few Power Rangers things you can compare it to. Like I think like the first Mighty Morphin movie had a higher budget than the show, I would imagine, right?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, by a lot. It had a real budget. A lot of it looks great.
Yeah. And then like the reboot movie obviously looks better than a lot of that show.
Right. But but it doesn't make sense to compare those things because those are major studio projects. This is,
of course, yeah.
This is Saban. This is a TV studio, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is No, I'm with you. Not a lot happens to that first, which is why they feel the need to stretch it into 5 parts. I guess what I was going to say is it's a toy commercial, and so that's why we're spending so much time driving things.
Yes, that is very true. I wonder...
They haven't landed on a formula like Power Rangers does.
Back to formula.
I hope they do it
simple. I said back to formula.
No, you were saying something before that.
It wasn't anything important. I don't know.
Okay. Well, everybody, thanks as always for listening. We sure appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this. We're going to keep going with the show and see what happens and see what outlandishness occurs and see if we end up having any more conversations about Eastern culture that I'm not even remotely prepared to discuss. Hopefully not too much more of that.
And just for a preview, this is the literal description that Netflix has of the next episode, which I think is probably pretty accurate as to the little that happens in the episode. I think it's really funny. Listen to this. Venus de Milo arrives in New York and introduces herself to the Turtles. Then she reveals that she, too, was dropped into the toxic sludge at birth. I think that's literally all that happens in this episode.
I really want I wasn't looking at the screen. I really wanted you to say, and then she reveals that she too is a turtle. Well, folks, thanks again for watching. We sure appreciate it, and we will see you soon with another one. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Dan.